Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. This is Leading Off Live, brought to you by Bet365. Bet $5. Get 150 in bonus bets when you do, only when you use the promo code Leading Off. It is me, Joey P. That's the Welsh, and it's you, the Peanuts, the Cracker Jacks. We got a trade at the top of the show. We got another Yankee starter performance to talk about, Welsh. Just saying. And, of course, we're moving up prospecting with the Welsh because tomorrow's Independence Day, and we're going to be independent of everything. We're taking a day off. We're going to sit by our respective pools or whatever the hell. Welsh, you got like a swimming hole out there by you? What do you got?
No, we have a hose, and we can pour some water that stays around for about 20 seconds before it evaporates into the sun. That's what we've got.
That's what Arizona is. Go to Donnie's house. He's got a pool.
I was going to say tomorrow's going to be resting with the Welsh, but it won't be because it is birthdaying with the family. So
that's right.
I will be trucking everybody around all day.
There you go. Birthdays to celebrate, including the birthday of our great nation, America. There you go. But Welsh, let's dive into it here. Let's go at the top of things. Brewers acquired Aaron Civale, which is a great move. I feel like we just talked about this yesterday, did we not? That the Brewers needed to make a move in this rotation. I still think DL Hall is a possibility at some point, sooner than later. However, it would kind of make sense to me to let him build up arm strength more, get him after the All-Star break, let him keep pitching through these next 2 weeks. But Civale, somebody much needed. The Brewers are at the top of this Central Division. It makes a ton of sense. How does this impact his fantasy value, in your opinion?
I think this is that's an interesting question. If he starts living up to some of the underlying things, it's a little bit, but everything kind of fell apart. I mean, one thing it's like an overarching statement. If you can't work with the Rays, then maybe you've got a bigger problem. And maybe we're giving too much clout to like their overall development. But the idea was like, oh, they're going to get Civale in and, they're going to start making these changes. And it's, hey, they're going to add this here and this is going to work there. And he ended up going a little bit more sinker this year over curveball. They didn't really make any of those big adjustments like, up-ticked splitter or cutter or anything like that. All of it to say is kind of mediocre. He's got a 5 ERA, didn't get a lot of wins. He does have almost a full run lower expected ERA than actual ERA, but strikeouts were down, walks were up, expected batting average against was up. So what this is like a guy that has underperformed a tiny bit in maybe an environment that I don't think is like offensively or defensively that much better for him. But this is going to be a team that is going to be putting up hopefully a lot of runs. He's going to get into some win opportunities. I think this is immediate. This is good for real baseball. This is good for real Brewers, a guy that can eat innings. That's what Civale can do. But is this going to be great for his fantasy value? Probably not. He's going to be a borderline streamy type of pitcher, but this needed to happen. They didn't trade any. There was like really nothing involved. Gregory Barrios, but it was a money situation. The Rays just unloaded all that money and the Brewers took it on. We'll talk about it a little bit later, like how this impacts the Rays rotation, but Civale is going to be in the hunt at least the rest of the year. Maybe a few more wins, maybe some run support, and maybe a downtick tiny bit on his ERA. But I don't expect this is going to be, Brewers aren't like this big changing organization for pitchers and whatnot. So it's a lateral move and you're probably streaming him.
Yeah, I think that works for me. Let's talk about the unfortunate injury news. Royce Lewis, here we go again. Royce Lewis came out yesterday, removed from Tuesday's game with left groin tightness. He's going to have an MRI today. Post-game press conference was pretty clear. He feels like this is going to be another IL stint for him. This is brutal. I mean, what is in the water in Minnesota? Him, Buxton, all these guys. I mean, Kirilloff was another guy who seemed like he was always hurt.
Isn't it fracking? Isn't that a big?
I don't know, but it's fracking annoying. Is what it is. If you haven't, I am. What
Battlestar Galactica. What I know, we're in a fracking situation here for sure. I will say this. He was toying around a little bit, and in his statement at the end where he was like, I don't feel good about this, was kind of more because it always ends bad for him. I don't think it was necessarily relative to how he felt, more that like last time out of massive caution, they put him on the IL. So that's where he didn't feel optimistic. But yeah, 100% Royce, because he's made of glass. He's Samuel L. Jackson in I guess Split was the second movie. What was it? I'm forgetting the name. It's a M. Night Shyamalan with Bruce Willis. It's a great movie.
Well, it was.
Now the Return wasn't as good when they did the three guys in the villain movie, but now I'm forgetting. It's like Shattered or whatever it was. I can't remember. But
I'll look it up.
That is Royce Lewis, modern day Derrick Rose. He's become incredible talent. I do expect the Twins should absolutely baby this situation. And that Unbreakable. Thank you, everybody.
Unbreakable.
Great movie. Unbreakable was like phenomenal. And then they did. I loved it.
Was it phenomenal?
I loved Unbreakable. No, I was a sucker for Unbreakable.
Waiting for something to happen and nothing happened.
Well, no, so water's scary. That's what happened. And then later they threw the surprise on us of the other movie, and then they had the like trio villain movie. I thought it was fun. I was into.
You know what the biggest surprise is that M. Night Shyamalan hasn't done a great movie since Sixth Sense. I think that's the plot twist.
He's got one coming out though that looks interesting. But
yeah, that's what everybody knows. They all look interesting, and then you see them and you all do the same thing. It's like, oh,
I want to watch that Watchers one that's out. Okay, but all that aside, we'll lead into where I think the replacement is. I do expect the Twins to do exactly what they did before.
Is it
that
Brooks
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Brooks Lee here in just a tiny bit. And I said it last night.
Yeah. And Brooks Lee and the Civale trade opening a spot for Shane Baz. Prospecting the Welsh boys and girls is going to be very hot today. It's going to be a lot to talk about. The Royce Lewis thing, I'm just getting my 2 cents in here. Depressing. That's the only word I have, because when you see these guys that can be he is one of the best players in the American League. Like he's not just the best player in the Twins. He's one of the best players in the American League. He's MVP quality contender kind of a talent. But is this the ultimate buy low time in dynasty leagues on him after this? Like, is this another one where people just roll their eyes and go and throw their hands up and just complete frustration?
I don't think it's the ultimate time. No, because I think like that run that he had completely changed the perception of his value. So like a team that's out of it, you should be buying him as a top 25, and a team that's selling can still do that. But to your point, it's only a matter of time before Royce is, I mean, we're all like, oh yeah, he gets hurt. This kind of stinks, blah, blah, blah. But he's 2 years away from everybody just pissily talking about him like he's Mike Trout, like where it's like, he'll never live up to it and blah, 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 blah. Like he's got to have a healthy season. He has not had that. So we know the talent's there, but he's too young that we're not going to like cross cancel all that stuff. But be on the lookout for the news. We still haven't gotten it. He might, who knows, maybe they'll just throw him back out there. I would think out of caution they would do it. And then, like I said, with Brooks Lee, we'll also talk about some of the blocks that could be out there. But one of the most frustrating players this year because of the massive, this is like the Nick Cage movie, the massive talent. God, I can't remember anything now. I just watched that stupid movie. By the way, Nick Cage is in everything. There's
massive talent. That's the one with the one with Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, but it's got like some long name, and I just watched it, and it was phenomenal. And Nick Cage is he's in every movie. He's got a new movie coming out like next weekend, Longlegs, some horror movie. So he's really paying.
The unbearable weight of massive talent.
That's Royce Lewis, the unbearable weight of massive talent that then ends up getting his legs hurt and going on the IL.
You need a day off, my friend. That's what you need.
I just can't. Again, this is a constant issue. I have
Face Off.
I have a great movie.
Con Air or Face Off. They're both on TNT and TBS at the same time. Easy. Which one are you watching?
This is the easiest answer, by the way. Con Air. It is Con Air every single time.
I like both of them a lot. But you go. I think it's Con Air for me too.
It's always Con Air.
That was a summer where they both came out at the same time. People forget about that.
There's too much info going in, and it's convoluting some of the little tiny things in my brain. So I apologize.
Well, let's extract some info about Luis Gil. 4 runs, 2 hits, 4 innings, plus 172 on the money line for the Reds. Cha-ching. Let's go. I talked about it yesterday on the show. It was I had 30% ROI just because of that bet hitting yesterday. That's it. Like, it was just awesome. But here we go. This is now 3 in a row, 16 earned runs in his last 9 2/3 innings. Welsh, what more is there to say about Gil at this point, except something's going to change here, and it's going to change soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to relent the Gil stuff. I can't do it much more. I've made my case to where I think he will be for the future, but he's stacking starts. I watched the start, of course I did. Didn't bet on it, but I felt tempted to. But I watched this start, and he was very efficient early on. First time through the order, he was throwing strikes. He got some strikeouts. He got out of some mess. I mean, he made Ellie look silly. He did his stuff, and then he just faltered again. He had a bad walk, and then he put something right down the middle. I mean, good Lord, didn't he give up like 2 homers in this one? It was just dead red middle fastball. He's losing his command later in starts, and that's a big, big worry. This start, fastball, changeup, slider in it. There was no velo dips if you were concerned, but the whiffs were low. No whiffs on the fastball, and he had a 62% zone rate. That's a little too much. He did have his slider going with a 50% whiff rate, but he only threw it 22% of the time. So, I think there's still elite stuff in there. He pumped the fastball. He can make these guys look silly, but he can't stay consistent into the next innings. And that might truly, truly be the wear that he's feeling right now. So I don't know what you do. Do you give him the blow? Do you give him 2.5, 3 weeks off with the All-Star game? Do you put him to the bullpen? When I watch him through the first 3 innings, I still look at a pitcher that I'm like, you just can't shut this completely down. But he fell apart on the back end. But I will say, though, and shout out to Scott White for saying this too, that like you would think he gave up 14 runs and walked 36 by how the discourse online was about him. He gave up 3 earned runs and he went 4 innings. He didn't have a lot of strikeouts. He ended up only having 3, and he got hit hard.
The league adjusts to you after a while too. I mean,
I think there's league adjustment. I actually think this is still more about him. I think it's more about
him than the league adjustment. That I do agree with, but the league adjustment is also in there too, where it's like, hey, if if he likes to approach this way, let him do that, and then work the counts this.
No, look, that's totally true. Like you're not going to eat that slider anymore. And
right,
you're going to sit on it, and
now we know who you are. And look, the great pitchers adjust back. And some never do. And same thing with hitters too. I mean, I remember Jason Hayward, right? I remember he came up like gangbusters. Eric Hosmer, guy came up like gangbusters. The league adjusted to them. They never adjusted back.
You know what he's going to do? Just going to call it right now. The next year, just watch. Going to throw a splinker. This is a guy they're going to add a splinker. He's going to be a splinker, dude.
Making up things.
He's changeup, slider, fastball. Even if he throws it 10% of the time, that type of with a big, splinker is just like a big power sinker. It's split. I mean, it's a marriage.
Yeah, and then he'll have an arm surgery and we'll miss him for a whole year. It's going to be great. I can't wait for all that. Yordan Alvarez, another home run 2 days in a row. I apologize again, Welsh. I dragged you into my home run call. If you just stuck with Alvarez the last 2 days, you might be on the board. I'm the worst friend ever.
Ifs and buts, candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Julio Rodriguez hit 7th. Look, I've made a lot of excuses for Julio. 247, 297, 327. The excuses are done. Hitting 069 over his last 7 games.
Not nice.
I still love the player. And this brought me back. We're going to story time with Uncle Joe here. Do you remember when JD Martinez came up with the Astros? And that was when the Astros were completely defunct and had nobody around him. Remember that?
When who?
It was like JD Martinez. JD Martinez was a big prospect that people were very excited about. I think people forget a little bit about like JD Martinez hype was real. And JD Martinez floundered for 2 years with the Astros because he had 0 lineup protection around him. He gets dropped into Detroit, if you recall, with Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez. And JD Martinez blossoms into this 35 home run guy. And it's not rocket science. I don't care how good a young player is.
Sometimes it's science.
If you put him in a situation with no line of protection, unless you are Mike Trout, or even Trout, at times, Mike Trout had Pujols. Like it's like he didn't have anybody. It was tail end Pujols, but it was still somebody. There's nobody for Julio here. And I don't know who has to be shaken upside down in the Mariners organization to realize that they got to get this guy some help.
Well,
but I mean, it is frustrating, man.
I do enjoy your story time. To add to what you're talking about, there's a heavy rumor. I don't even remember if we talked about it on this show. I know he did ITL, but there's a heavy rumor that the Mariners and the Cubs have been in talks with Nico Hoerner because the Cubs they're floundering. They're bottom of the division. They're almost bottom of the entire NL. I agree, but no. But here's one thing though with Nico. Nico that's the start. If it was only Nico, that's not what it's going to do. But Nico's a guy that you put at the top of the order.
Sure,
he gets on base. Which none of these other guys are doing, doesn't strike out, which all those other guys are doing. He can steal bases at a high clip and he can score runs. He is the perfect guy to put at the top of the lineup. But back to what you said, if you only go get Nico Hoerner and then you were getting like Adam Duvall, which I know they're not, That's not going to work. They've got to make those two trade. You got to go and get Nico, which is going to cost a little bit. And then you would need to go get a Luis Robert, which, by the way, did you see the Luis Robert no throw? I mean, have you ever seen a guy that doesn't want to be where he's at or just doesn't care? Like, you guys all saw it. You know what it was.
I don't want to be there either. I'm not getting paid. I want to be somewhere else. By the
way,
I
agree. They should.
Still talking about Nicolas Cage movies. They're talking about The Weatherman, The Family Man. The Rock is overrated, by the way. It's a
great 90s
nonsense.
movie, though. No, it's a great 90s.
No, Face Off and Con Air are great 90s movies.
Okay,
but nothing will touch the ultimate Nick Cage performance, which is Raising Arizona. One of the all-time weird movies that's just freaking awesome.
But he's had some really, really good ones. Mandy is a great was one.
Did you watch that series on Netflix when he was just talking about curse words? That was pretty entertaining. There's a whole thing where it's like the origin of the word frack or other words.
Was this like the Aristocrats?
No, it was literally like a half-hour sit-down with Nick Cage in a big wingback chair in front of a fireplace talking about the origin of curse words. And it was kind of entertaining. I highly recommend it.
The one thing I want to say, this great viral campaign, the new movie called Long Legs. It's this horror movie that Nick Cage is a part of. And there's been all this viral, like, oh, it's the scariest movie ever. And the trailer dropped yesterday. And if you listen to it, it's all scary. And then halfway through, it's like a voiceover of Nick Cage as a scary guy, and he's like, "You promised." I laughed out loud, not being able to take it serious because it's not Nick Cage in a performance. It's Nick Cage as a scary guy. Go listen to the trailer. You're going to laugh your ass off.
But the Jake nails it. Nick Cage is just playing Nick Cage. And that's fine. Like some guys just do that. Not everybody is a transformational actor. Not everybody's Tom Hardy. Like not everybody is,
just Nick Cage is in everything. That's the difference.
Some people are just not transformational actors. Let's have some fun. Bobby Miller was okay. 2 runs, 4 hits, 5 innings.
Is that fun?
It's better against the Diamondbacks. Brenton Doyle, 3 straight days with home runs. Austin Riley, another ding or 2. He's been hot. And the Marlins look like they're going to be designated Tim Anderson for assignment.
I think it already happened. I don't think it is.
It actually it happened yet. They were talking about it happening. Did it officially happen already?
Yep.
The world will never know. I was mad that Craig Mish didn't break that news. I
think he did. Well, he made on, I think it was like Foul Territory and other places. He made all the screenshots because he did reference that Tim Anderson was no issue in the locker room, which I think a lot of people speculated. They said he was fantastic. Couldn't have been a better teammate. He just
issues were on the field. He's just not good at baseball. So what does that mean when players get designated for assignment or get traded? It means when someone gets hurt, all these opportunities open things up for prospects, and it's time for prospecting with the Welsh. That's right. The Welsh and I are going to take a look at some young man down on the farm, might be able to help your fantasy team here for the rest of the season. Welsh, what do you have for the people?
Well, I'm not going to actually talk about it, but Xavier Edwards is probably going to be the guy that's going to get more run, but not super excited.
Well, you said you weren't going to talk about it, and then you talked about it.
So it's a double.
I'm not going to talk about Xavier or whatever.
I'm not going to talk about it, but let me tell you guys about 5 minutes about why Xavier Edwards is not a guy. All right, so there are 2 guys that are like directly in our face, and Brooks Lee is number 1 here. I put this tweet out yesterday, and a couple of people brought up some good points. Here's one roadblock to a Brooks Lee going up with the Minnesota Twins as some type of replacement if Royce Lewis were to go down. Roadblock number 1, 40-man roster. He's not on the 40-man roster. That definitely throws a wrench into it. In that same vein, number 2 would be like a guy like Edouard Julien is available. And middle infielders, they're not short on any type of middle or, even third base type of infielder. But the positive, I believe it's Dan Hayes who covers the Twins. He had a tweet out saying Brooks Lee would be the guy. Like they were watching if Brooks Lee was going to be pulled from the game. And he's saying like, they're not going to go to Edouard Julien. Most likely Brooks Lee would be the player. So I said, go and check how and what type of availability Brooks Lee is in your league right now, because as we await this news, this could be the guy. Hitting 350 on the year, Brooks Lee is with 7 homers and 8 doubles in under 150 at bats. He's hitting 333 in June, had just 12 strikeouts. And a perspective here, 5 doubles, 6 homers in the month of June. So he had 1 extra base less in the month than his total strikeouts. Now, the last little thing that could potentially hold a player back, I don't think it would, is he made the futures game roster. So you could argue a team, if they really, we don't want to take this away from a guy. I just don't think that, especially for Brooks Lee's case, it's going to matter. So if Royce Lewis goes on the IL, they could go to Edouard Julien. I believe they will go to Brooks Lee, and they'll nix that futures game appearance because he's been kind of imminent for quite a while. So I am tentatively picking him up. Number 2, I'm actually going to jump, since we already talked about him, to the pitcher. It's Shane Baz. And this one, I think we're toying around with this almost being official, but with Aaron Civale back, the move, as it was reported, I think Mark Topkin mentioned that this was also due to Jeffrey Springs coming back soon and Shane Baz, who's been really good. And there's rumors that Baz could even be starting here coming up on Thursday against the Royals.
Well, they're anticipating double header. I think I saw something.
Right? And that would make sense that he would be back. But he's got a really good opportunity to stay around. Over his last 10 starts so far this year, he's got a 4 ERA, which is not like the best. But in June, we saw 4 more starts with 6 or more strikeouts, but 4 of his 5 starts, multiple walks. The consistency has been his problem, but his fastball is looking great in his, it's been touching 98, sitting 96. That's what it did in his last start, where in his last start, he also struck out 7. He went heavy fastball slider, but he's also throwing that curve double-digit percentage of the time and kind of not doing anything with the changeup. He had 42 swings on pitches, only induced 12 whiffs. 10 came from the fastball slider combo. I mentioned that because if he's not fooling hitters and not sticking around the zone, guys are swinging at a lot of his stuff, and they're also just not whiffing. They're fouling off a lot of stuff. So his effectiveness is going to be interesting, but he's a total streamer pitcher. And I feel like you and I have talked about him, Joe. And if he were available, do you view him as a streamer or as a hold if he's called up?
Wait, a streamer or a hold? That's
like, are you looking at like you're going to burn and churn a guy like Shane Baz when he comes up, or do you?
I think I hold. I hold because of the Civale trade, and I'm looking at the rest of the month and saying, okay, when does Springs really come back, and are there setbacks along the way? That stuff is still there. There's enough variables on the positive side for me with Baz, so I'd be a hold more than a stream with him. Also, because he does have the pedigree, and if anything else, if you're still, able to make trades in your league, depending on when, those get shut down, if he has a couple good starts, I might look to churn him to another team and then bring back something that I feel better about, maybe like solidified rotation spot, maybe a team a little bit more offense down the stretch that I could see myself doing.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like leaning in. I don't feel as optimistic as I think as a lot of people do about there's been like some walk issues. The stuff is there. I just don't know if it's going to hold and be consistent, but he is coming. So 2 players that are on the verge, and I know we talked about all these guys at this point in the season, but Kobe Mayo, and for the last time, I'm going to present this for the year because I don't think I'll do it again. Hashtag free Kobe Mayo. Yes, we are going to put Mayo on all our baseball sandwiches this year. Over 230-ish bats Mayo has had, hitting .321 with 21 homers. He just hit .395 in June and had only 2 games where he did not register a hit. Ridiculous. He currently has hits in 10 of his last 12 games, including 5 during that span. So the question is, how is it going to work? There was actually some, and I think you said it on the show yesterday, some implication out there from the Orioles that he is really close. So how it works is they are going to have to get rid of one of Ramon Urias or Jorge Mateo. I think easily done. By the way, Urias is hitting .217. Mateo's hitting like .230 at this point. It's more defensively. And they do have an issue with having too many rookies on the roster. But you get rid of one of those guys, then what you can do is you can move Westberg over to be the full-time second baseman, which he has done. And I think that was even more of a college primary position. And then you have one of those guys serve as the primary backup. Kobe Mayo's bat, it's elite. It's elite of elite. And as we had mentioned, of who is worth stashing, I love talking about Brooks Lee. He's fun. I like talking about Shane Baz. Kobe Mayo is the one that no matter what, you're doing this here. He's not getting traded. He's going to be in that lineup you hold. One that comes up a lot, and I think we're on the verge here, is Davison De Los Santos with the Diamondbacks. I know I've mentioned him before. An absurd .344 average on the year with a minor league, minor league leading 26 home runs. Nobody has more homers. He's already gotten over the 100 hit mark, and he just hit .327 with 10 homers in June. So I put it as we're at the point there's not much more to say about him and what his profile has been, but you got to look at the Diamondbacks. Alec Thomas just got back. They sent down Blaze Alexander, and that was a big key for a lot of people. Would Blaze or Eugenio, would they deal with that and get rid of Eugenio? They didn't. Blaze has struggled defensively. Eugenio has struggled offensively. They're disasters. They're going to make a move quickly. So important. Davison De Los Santos has been a primary first baseman on the year, but 70 innings in AAA, he's played third base, 1 error. So to me, it would not be a surprise if his futures game is cut short, like I'm talking about with Brooks Lee, or if when he leaves the All-Star game, he does not head back to Reno and he goes straight to the Diamondbacks. So yes, I'd be picking him up. And then the last is a big speculation marker here for you. Shea Whitcomb with the Houston Astros, hitting .310, 18 homers, 20 stolen bases so far this year, coming off of a massive June where he hit .347, had 9 homers and 13 stolen bases. His profile keeps improving. He cut his K percentage down from 31 to 21% this year, like Mark Vientos, and he's walking a career high 11.6%. And most interesting is that he's been a middle infielder, second baseman, shortstop, but recently he's been playing in the outfield, and that's where they've got some more spots. So I think he's a guy that could come up, play outfield, and serve as a super util on the infield, and maybe just play regular time. So Shea Whitcomb, just be on the lookout for him. If he does get a call, he might be someone worth picking up. But the rest are the big prospects that we are paying attention to.
There you go, everybody. That's Prospecting with the Welsh. Go to FantasyPros.com to get more out of your prospects and check out all Welsh's amazing work over there. Welsh, a little 3 up and 3 down. Teoscar Hernandez, 3 for 5, the double and 3 RBI. Shohei Ohtani, another homer, up to 27.
Did you see that thing?
He is red hot, man. The guy just can't be stopped. He's unbelievable. It's so fun that we get to live in this time to watch Shohei Ohtani play baseball. Like, it is awesome.
That's funny you say that.
Trout, it's the thing, like, my biggest anger or disappointment, whatever it might be, is that I'm an old fart on the East Coast and I wish I could stay up more to watch this guy play more. And I don't get to do that because I'm going to bed at 11 o'clock and these games are like in the 3rd inning by then. I'm not
Stay up. He is wild. The way he turned inside on it and exploded on the ball and hit it I think it was like 113 off the bat. I mean, we don't need to say anything about Ohtani. It's an awe moment, which he does a lot of.
Grayson Rodriguez had an awe moment, racking up 8 Ks and 6 1/3 yesterday. 3 down, Mitch Keller, 6 runs, 5 earned, 9 hits, not good. Spencer Arrighetti had a big strikeout performance and then gave up 6 earned runs. Dylan Cease, not good. 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 2/3. It's funny. I almost bet against Cease yesterday too, because if you look at his home road splits, not very good, or I should say drastic. And yesterday there was an opportunity I wish I talked about on the show, but I'll live.
He kept me from sweeping the betting day too. It was that Padres game, and that game kept me from a clean sweep.
See, it's funny because I was staying away from him yesterday because of the splits, and I was like, because your eye goes immediately, oh, yeah, Dylan Cease, and then you look a little deeper and you go, oh, Dylan Cease, I don't know if I want to do that.
No.
Injuries, Clayton Kershaw with a shoulder issue. He's going to throw a bullpen session today. We'll see how that goes. Brian Wu with a hamstring, 20-pitch session over the weekend, so we'll see if he has any issues after that or ramps up to another one. Josh Young apparently was working his way back. We remember from the surgically repaired right wrist. Still dealing with soreness. I don't know if we're going to see him this year, Welsh. I don't know. Maybe August. I don't know. Dean Kremer is going to start on Wednesday today against the Mariners. Josiah Gray, who we were talking about, we were excited he was coming back. Right elbow apparently not doing well, having some discomfort there. Hopefully it's not a big deal, but again, we'll hold our breath. The Diamondbacks placed Jordan Montgomery on the 15-day IL. JD Martinez did not play yesterday because of some ankle soreness. Robbie Ray, another rehab start on Thursday. So keep an eye on that track for him. Javier Baez, everybody. Minor league rehab started yesterday. I know. Get excited. More Javier Baez. A lot of notes on the Tigers. Casey Mize going to the IL with the hamstring, and Jack Flaherty. Again, that back issue continues to go on. He is not going to start today. So lots of negativity there, unfortunately, for the Tigers.
I think they're also being very careful because he's a trade candidate. Jack Flaherty is an absolute trade candidate. So make sure he's right before you get him back out in a start, and then you pull the trigger on a move.
Yesterday went against the Yankees with a big plus money on the other side. What do the bets have in store for us today? Let's find out, because it's time for the best bets
of the day
with Joey P and the Welsh. Make sure you place your bets at bet365. Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets when you use the promo code leading off at bet365. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Welsh, I'm going to keep it simple today. Going with the Dodgers on the run line. 1.5 is the number, plus 105 versus Arizona. Gavin Stone on the mound. He's been very solid. Shohei Ohtani over on the 1.5 total bases is minus 125. If you want to go have some more fun and go for the home run, the run score, whatever it is. I mean, it's a lot of minus money out there on him, but minus 125 on the total bases. I think that's a good enough investment. The guy's just red hot. And then Christian Scott back up with the Mets. It's a low number, 4.5. I got this one right from the prop bet cheat sheet over on Betting Pros because I was having trouble finding a third one I really liked. And this is it at plus money, plus 115. I think you can get to 5 against the Nats today. Again, that's Christian Scott over on the 4.5 strikeouts. Welsh, what do you got?
I didn't love a lot of the props. I'm going to dig in a little bit more. I had a lot of prospecting stuff to do this morning, so I'm going to dig in more. So that would be a plug, of course, to bettingpros.com/Welsh if you want to check my bets as they sink that I am actually full on making. But I got some line stuff here. And first up, Atlanta. I'm backing Chris Sale, kind of as I always want to do. Chris Sale with the Braves, minus 1.5 is plus money, plus 105. So give me the Braves to be up by a full run. And I have got some nerfies for you today. I am nerfing it first. St. Louis and Pittsburgh, no run first inning. That is going to give me our boy Miles Michaelis and Jared Jones. Offensively, both of these teams in the first inning are in the bottom 15 of the league in first inning scoring. Jared Jones, solid, 3.5 ERA. And I just think offensively, these teams match up versus the pitchers where we can hold down a run. This is around minus 135, so it's a little bit juiced up. The other one, it's going to feel uncomfortable. This is going to feel really uncomfortable. It's around minus 120, could be to minus 110. No run first inning, A's and Angels. And I think you can understand why I'm doing this. I'm hitting on the offenses here, but also on the pitching side, half decent. Daniel Davis, who's pitching for the Angels, had a pretty good start, bunch of strikeouts recently, and Joey Estes have been good. So expected numbers, FIP numbers, kind of more in their favor. I'm betting, again, these two teams are like bottom 10 in the league in first run scoring. So I'm taking Oakland, Angels, no run first inning, and St. Louis, Pittsburgh, no run first inning. And I'm going to run this back because I missed it yesterday because of San Diego. But this is my plus 1.5 runs through the first 5 parlay. So I take 3 teams that are plus 1.5. So they're majorly juiced up. And that gets me to plus money. I'm 1-1 so far on these this year. And today I'm backing Philly, Boston, and Pittsburgh. So I'm backing Zach Wheeler against the Cubs, Brian Bayo, and we've got Jared Jones going up against the Cardinals. All 3 teams plus 1.5 runs through the first 5 innings. That pays out around plus 120. Playing that sucker again today for my little parlay of the day. And if I see any props I like, bettingpros.com/Welsh.
There you go. Follow us there and download the Betting Pros app to start betting smarter, not harder. Welsh, let's take a quick look at the home run board. L Scale at the top of 30, Larry C at 29, B Trot at 29. Somebody's going to win that Vlad Guerrero bat. I'm still stuck at 23 from the weekend. Boo. Spoiler alert. I'm just going with Shohei Ohtani today. So you don't like it? Too bad. Welsh, I do not want you to come with me for this one. I've been a mush for you on Monday and Tuesday. So who are you picking for your home run call today?
I even thought about it because looks like it's Christian Mania making his major league debut with the Diamondbacks.
Because it was TBA this morning when I got up and I was like, ooh, who's pitching against Ohtani? Oh, TBA. Lock it in.
That's funny. Eric says I would go Gunner. I would go Gunner, but he's going up against Logan Henderson. No, today I played this one before, and I think I cashed on one of them. I'm going to go with Riley Green. So good matchup overall. Give me Riley Green for the home run today, and I'm really not sure what that number will be. 19 maybe I'll be at. I'm consistently 4 or 5 away from getting on the board. So again, me on the home run board, Joe leaving for football. Ooh, Joe is still plus money right now. Or minus.
I want to let everybody know. I know we're not going to be here tomorrow, but we got some fun stuff planned because the All-Star break is a weird time. So we're going to have a review of the futures game. We're going to talk about the MLB draft. We're going to have some shows releasing then.
Dedicated shows, if people understand. Those are dedicated shows.
If you're playing in Dynasty or just, you're looking at the future of baseball, These are going to be very important shows for you. So we're going to have those for you next week while the All-Star break is also leading off. Won't be live those first couple of days of the week because of the All-Star break and all that fun stuff. I will have some thoughts on the Home Run Derby, but we're also going to do a little fun show about our All-Star teams for fantasy in the American League and National League too. So we're going to be working on that as well. So we're going to be here, even though baseball will be kind of off. We're still going to be popping out that content for you. And just as a reminder, time's running out on this one. And I know there's been a ton of reviews. Good job, folks. Keep it going. FantasyPros.com/MLB review. Drop a positive review of the program here at Fantasy Pros MLB. We really appreciate you guys and gals out there who watch and listen to the show. Orlando Cabrera, autographed throwback jersey. Could be yours. The Big O. Mike Mayer would have thought.
This is all Mike Mayer. And
by the way, just want to share this with the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks. Y'all are amazing. We already hit our goal for views this year for the channel by July 1st. How about that? How about that? That's on all of you. Congratulations.
We got a pretty cool note about that we have yearly goals, obviously, and baseball smashed its goal before July hit. We smashed, so we can continue to smash. Hopefully, guys,
everything now is gravy.
Destroy it.
That doesn't mean you stop watching. You got to keep watching and subscribing and all that fun stuff. But again, just shout out to all of you who make this show work because it's your show. We're the people's show. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. We'll be back again Friday to do some more. But of course, the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Enjoy your July 4th. Be safe, everybody.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.